Today's episode is brought to you by Viralcast, the first and only completely done-for-you podcast production service. Build new relationships, create a deeper connection with your database, and get exposure to new audiences. Here's how it works. You interview influencers in your market. You start building that new relationship. Then you take that valuable content and share it with your database. Your guest then shares the content with their list. Everybody wins. You get new relationships, you create a deeper connection with your list, and get exposure to new people that you would never have access to. And look, if you're currently mining your database with video, stop. Audio is the new reality. We are living in an influence economy. Exposure is the new social capital. Go to Viralcast with a K to learn more. And right now, for the first 25 subscribers, we're offering a 50% off the getting started price. Hey everybody, what's up? How's it going? Hopefully your world is as exciting as mine. It's springtime, soon to be summer. Hopefully you have some exciting summer plans that, don't include work. Now, today's episode is a Canadian. And this, I think, today's, I liked it. It was really fun for me, this girl. She's from Toronto, and she explains how when she started her business, she told herself two things. She said, number one, I'm never going to knock a door. Number two, I'm never going to make a cold call. So what does that mean? That means that all of her stuff is online. So we talk about how she does all her marketing online. And here's what she does. Number one, she identified her ideal client. Now, for her, she calls them acceptable ballers. She knows their age, gender, income, and the things they like to do. Now, that allows her, by knowing your ideal client, I call it avatar. She calls it acceptable baller, whatever. By knowing that, you're able to do a couple things in terms of marketing. You're able to get very specific on messaging and speak directly to those people. And when you know what they like to do, where they like to shop, you're able to really dial in your marketing, both in terms of messaging and medium. What do we cover here? Hold on, I'm reading my notes. We cover all that she does online for seller leads, and that was one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting. Normally when you look at, I won't say any names, but you look at all those companies that will build you a website, and they say, hey, we're going to buy you some, Google, pay-per-click. We're going to buy you some Facebook ads. Normally, because they want to drive volume, right? They want to be able to say, hey, Toby, last month we got you 100 leads. Well, you know what? Those are all kind of junk leads, man. They're 6 to 18 months in terms of gestation, and they're all on the wrong side. So we talk about how she does get seller leads. So pretty cool. We break it all down. Now, I'll tell you, what she does is surprisingly simple. However, as you will find out, it will take work. Okay. A little housekeeping real quick. Please go to the site, go to superagentslive.com, check out some other episodes, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't, and if you feel so inclined, give us a rating and review. That helps people, other people, new people find it. If you want to level up and do radio, and radio's going off right now, and it's weird. We are onboarding a bunch of people in Canada, so it's just all of a sudden we're getting all these Canadian people. But go to realestateradioexperts.com, see what we do there. Twitter, my hashtag, join the conversation. My handle, I should say, @SuperAgentsLive. Hashtag for the show is unpack that idea. All right. Hey, let's get to today on the show. We have a guest that, look, often we'll ask you guys, hey, who do you want us to bring on the show? And whether that's, geography wise, gender wise. And when you guys tell us, we go out and get them. So today is somebody, one of you guys said, hey, go get this girl. Now, here's the deal. She has a team of 2 full-time agents. So this is very different from, the people that we talk to having a mega team of 40 people. These are 2 full-time people. However,
hold on, I'm going to stop you, Rachi. It's 8 agents and 2 full-time staff.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Whatever.
Okay. And I won't even edit that out. That's her. But hold on. Stand by. So look, 8 agents, 2 full-time staff. Last year they did 194 deals. This year so far, we're in May, not quite half of the end, and she's already done 100. She's shooting for $2 million in GCI. I'm thrilled to welcome Melanie Piche. Hey, Melanie, what's up? Thanks for taking the time out.
Hi.
Hey,
Join me on the show.
Sure. And look, let me just add one last thing. Melanie is in Toronto, so Canada. We don't do a whole lot of Canada ones, but I feel like everybody out there in Canada, and we have a huge listenership in Canada. I feel like everybody, in Canada goes, "Hey, Toby, bring on more Canadians." So, all right. So, hey, Melanie, look, everybody has a nuts and bolts overview of what you're doing business-wise, but before we get there, I want to know a little bit about who you are. Tell us about yourself, Melanie, and then we'll get into what you're doing with biz.
All right. Well, I'm a broker in Toronto. I run the team with my husband, Brendan, and we've both been in the business only for about 8 years, so we've had really nice growth really quickly. Before this, I actually worked in an ad agency on the HR side, so kind of a major shift in career 8 years ago. And we've been doubling ever since we started, so it's been exciting times.
So, and I don't know if you know this, but we have, as part of this platform, we have an ad agency. We have a radio ad agency. What kind of ad agency did you work at, and what did you do there?
I was actually the director of human resources, and it was the biggest ad agency in Canada. So we did everything from TV to radio to print to digital.
And even though you're out there in HR, I'm sure you picked a lot of that stuff up by osmosis. And really, what I'm trying to get at is, did that time working at that ad agency, what kind of overlap? What are some of the things that you brought from that ad agency over to your brokerage?
Well, it's funny. I always used to say that when I was in HR, I would match, people in jobs, and now that I'm in real estate, I match people in houses, and it's not really that different. Probably 80% of our clients are coming from the ad world or film or technology. So from kind of day one, there's been a huge pressure on us to deliver marketing that's not typical of most real estate agents, which has been really good for the business.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll tell you, and I often say this. I mean, look, most agents. Most agents are terrible marketers. Even though, as realtors, we should all be, marketers number one. Most agents are terrible. Let's talk about marketing a little bit. You say that you're doing it in a traditional fashion. And by the way, I got to tell you, most of the time we spend more time on your background. Somehow we just got into this, so hopefully you're not feeling too rushed. But what are some of the things that you're doing with marketing from that you started in day one 8 years ago, and then let's talk about that. Where you started and now where you're at today, and how you've evolved.
So I started in 2008. So I think I listed my first property the day that the whole Lehman Brothers thing happened in the U.S. So it was not an ideal time to start. Now in Toronto, we only had about 6 months of recession. And it's been kind of 10+% growth every year since. So my first year, I was just dabbling in it, to be honest. I wasn't particularly serious about it. The second year, I got a bit more serious, went back to my old job, part-time consulting, and realized that my plan B job of going back to HR wasn't really a plan B anymore, and I hated it. So that's when I got serious about real estate. And for me, I wasn't going to knock on a door, and I wasn't going to do a cold call. I had no interest in doing any of that, which meant I had to figure out how to find clients online. And our whole business has been built online and social. I've yet to make a cold call or knock on a door.
That's interesting. Now, so do you know your disc profile?
I do.
What is it?
I'm a DI.
So I'm 99D, 99I. You and I would either get along fabulously or we'd end up hating one another.
Probably.
Okay, but so your DI, what was it about the notion of knocking on a door or making a cold call that why were you so off put by that?
Well, I hate when people do it to me. I hate when people show up at my door and try to sell me something and my dogs are barking in the background. And I hate when people call me on the phone and waste my time. So I couldn't look at myself in the mirror if I had to do things that I hated when they got done to me. So it really became about treating our, quote-unquote leads and clients the way I would want to be treated. And we took the idea of, traditional agents farm a neighborhood. And, people want to work with people that are like them. So, the traditional agent is at my door. They're on my phone. They're on my best shelter. They're in my mailbox. We took that idea and changed it, and yet kept many of the same principles. We're farming a demographic, and we are where our demographic is. Much like it used to be on the door, on the phone, on the bus shelter, on the mailbox, we're on Google, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're in their email, we're hanging out the places they are. So it's really the same strategy, but for 2016.
Right.
And the people that so we are where our people are, and they're online.
Right. Well, and so, okay, I get that, but let me throw this one at you, right? So, the traditional realtor is at your door, on your phone, in your mailbox, and you hate it when somebody knocks, you dislike that when that sort of thing happens to you. But I would say all advertising is interruption based, right? So you have to, and we're all competing for that one bit of slice of attention, right? And I say all, like you are competing against Paramount Pictures and Columbia and Warner Brothers for that, small piece of, even though you're doing it online, don't you think the outcome of interrupting someone's daily pattern is the same?
You mean, I think we're doing a lot of permission advertising.
Okay.
I have never added a name to my email list that has not signed up for it.
Wow.
And we advertise to people who like our face. And we've got thousands of people who subscribe. But I've never added a name of someone I met at an open house or even a client to a list. So we are very much about making content that people want. So if they sign up for an email list, they will get, let's say I do a weekly list of like all the cool properties on the market. And I do a weekly list of all my blogs. And someone signs up for it, they're not going to get harassed by me. They're going to get a, hey, thanks for signing up. I'm never going to spam you. If you like what you read and you want to get in touch, here's how. So there is I don't even consider people who sign up on my marketing as leads. Those are people who give me permission to reach out. And if what I can provide is valuable, they will come to me. And they do. And I've had people come to me 2 years later. We have a listing coming out next week. And she said, I have read every one of your blogs for the last 2 years. I wouldn't have considered listing with anybody else.
Amazing.
So they have relationships with our team, even though we don't know it. Because everything we're doing is around content and putting out stuff that's different, that's truthful, that's not a bunch of BS, that in trying to sell somebody something. And they keep coming back for it.
Right.
So I do think it's different.
Okay, no,
marketing.
I would agree. I would, in that regard, I would 100% agree. I mean, permission-based marketing is different than advertising. So there's a lot to talk about, I think, here. So give me a list of. So what else do you do? I have your blog. I'm looking at your blog, and for everybody, if you want to see kind of what Melanie's doing, just Google Melanie Piche, Piche, or her site is getwhatyouwant.ca. So I'm looking at the Brel blog. I'm not sure what the Brel stands for, but so you have an update infographic, right? Updates are boring, but you made it an infographic. That's interesting. Real estate crush of the week, where you're talking about some interesting properties. True real estate tales and gossip, April edition. That's cool. I just snorted. What else? What else are you doing other than the blog?
So our website gets between 2,000 and 3,000 people a day on it.
How?
So beyond the blog, there is a ton of evergreen content. I have guides for pretty much everything. If you're, downsizing, if you're upsizing, if you're getting divorced, if you're single, if you're buying your first property together, we have in-depth guides for everything. We have the same thing on selling a house with pets, selling a house with kids. We've got guides for everything. So my website has something like, I want to say 6,000 pieces of original content.
Wow.
It's a ton, and I've had that website for 4 years. I write all the content myself. I have in-depth neighborhood guides for 38 of the neighborhoods that we work in. Because, again, I'm not farming a neighborhood. I'm working in many neighborhoods that a particular demographic might live in. And I get tons of SEO love. So the number one way people get to my site is through a regular organic Google search. And the second way is through Facebook. So we do a ton of promoting of our original content on Facebook and through our Facebook page.
Okay.
And I'm not paying, and I haven't paid Google ads in probably 2 years.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think Facebook works a lot better than Google pay per click. Okay, so you're you're creating original content, and again, I think a lot of people go, you just lost a lot of people right there because they're like, oh, I'm a terrible writer, I hate writing. So you're producing this content, you're promoting the content on with Facebook ads. Now, just so I understand your funnel, so Facebook ad to a landing page, and then to an opt-in.
No, so I don't have any options. You can search for as many properties as you want without ever having to sign in. People choose to sign in, and they make accounts, but they don't do it because I force them. And people actually will email me to thank me for not forcing them to opt in. I have a couple of landing pages. Mostly I'm promoting content. And, the good pieces of content have good calls to action in them. I usually know when I write a blog if I'll get particular calls, like if I'm writing a blog, to sellers because, there's nothing to buy on the market. And that'll generate calls. So they're coming in off of very specific articles on the website. And there's a few, top-performing pages. Like we have one that's always in the top 10 every day that gets over 100 hits, which is about how to buy a property in Canada as a non-resident. And we probably do 2 or 3 transactions with non-residents every month. And that's all coming from one blog I wrote 2.5 years ago. And
you're still buying Facebook ads against it? Or is it just sitting out there?
No. The Facebook ads are just for new content or for seasonal content.
I got you. So you wrote this blog 2.5 years ago, and it's just organic search.
Yep. Google
Wow.
likes it.
Okay.
I mean, I've gone to like PubCon conferences and learned as much as I could about SEO and doing my own optimization within, which was a focus for a while for me. Now I just try to write good content people want to read and want to share. And if I can do that, I find I get the same Google love.
Yeah, and so that's interesting. I definitely see. You're going to hit 200 deals this year, and I'm sure with this strategy, I'm sure you and I are going to be talking 2 years from now, and you're going to be doing 400 deals because I think you are so different and ahead of. There's very few people that come on the show that have marketing locked down like you. So kudos to you. You've done a fantastic job. Let's talk about farm. You said you talk about farming. You say, yeah, we have a farm, but we're farming a demographic. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, my demographic is between 28 and 40 years old, which is younger than me, by the way. And they tend to work in technology and marketing. They work at, big social media companies in Toronto. And they have nice salaries and nice budgets. Our average price point in Toronto right now is almost at $1.3 million for a detached house.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. And, our average house sells in 6 days. So our relationships can be very short in terms of how much time we're spending with someone. They've had a relationship with us for a year. But by the time they call us, and sometimes it literally is, I saw a house on the weekend at an open house and I'd like you to prepare the offer for me. I wouldn't trust anybody but you. I mean, it's a whole different kind of relationship and a whole different way of getting people. These are not the internet leads that everybody talks about. They're signing up for an account or signing up for something, and it's going to take you 18 months and a lot of grief to move them. My guys are transacting within 4 to 6 weeks by the time they pick up the phone or email us.
Now,
they're ready to buy, they're ready to sell.
Yeah, and I think in general, I want to hold on. I have 2 questions, but first, when you just said "my guys," now when for a demographic, and I'll tell you, like for radio, we target men, and we target a demographic. We target men 35 to 54, 75K plus, and on a home. How specific is the demographic that you target?
It's not that specific.
Okay.
I think the language that we use on the website tends to bring in the same kinds of people, and the fact that they're finding us on Instagram and they're finding us on Facebook. I mean, that's naturally bringing in people, and we're speaking a language they understand. Our tagline is "No BS, no fridge magnet."
I saw that. That was cool. I love it.
Like that alone brings in that slice of the demographic.
Now,
right now, we're running an ad on Facebook for sellers that is just targeting people who work in marketing, advertising, or design, and the ad simply says, "Comic fans who never sold a house." That's what the whole ad says.
It says, "Comic fans who've never sold a house.
Yeah, Comic Sans never sold a house. And then the words at the top say, we understand marketing. That's why, most of our clients would come from the industry. But to a designer, the fact that I would even recognize that there's a bad font out there that, let's be honest, a lot of realtors use, they get that. So it's an instant, okay, they know me, they get me. We've been hired on that ad, I don't know how many times, by simply connecting with them on a level that they understand that we're not like every other realtor with bad marketing and using the Comic Sans font. We get it. And that's really powerful for that demographic.
No, I agree, and I'll tell you, I want to talk about this. I tell people when we talk about marketing, obviously, and starting your business, have a niche, have a farm, all that stuff. But more than that, envision your ideal client, right? And gender, age, income, what they do on the weekends. Because if you can picture that person, Mike, who's a graphic designer who makes 150 grand, drives a Tesla, then all of a sudden you can start to create messaging that speaks directly or clearly to them, and there's a connection there. Is that what you did, Melanie? Did you step back?
That's exactly what we did, and we even have a name for it. We call our ideal client an accessible baller. So they're baller in that they've got the money and they've got good taste and they've got style, but they're accessible in that they're people we actually want to hang out with.
Right.
And that's those two words together for our team is just like we instantly know who we're talking to.
And then it seems to me like if that's true, right? So the acceptable baller, and these are people that you want to hang out with. It seems like you could create, it seems like all of a sudden Melanie is what every realtor wants to be, right? The center of a community, right? Melanie knows Ricky, who knows Julie. If I need something, right, I go to Melanie because she's tied in, she's tied into this community. Do you, in terms of creating additional value for your clients after they buy or sell, do you build community afterwards?
Absolutely. So our philosophy on the service front and also on the team front is based on the idea of, do what you love and outsource everything else. So for our clients, we're providing staging, we're providing cleaning. We've identified all of the pain points in selling and buying, and we're trying to provide solutions for all of those different things so that our busy young professionals usually have a kid and a half, don't have to worry about all the horrible things that come with selling and buying your house. When our stager's in staging, she's our client concierge. She will drop off boxes. She will wait for the cable guy. We will do everything we can to remove that pain point during the process. After the process, we're actually just about to launch, for our former clients, a program called Friends with Benefits. And that is to continue that same relationship. So let's say we've purchased 100 hours of handyman help this month. Who needs something done at their house?
Right.
And that is the way that we'll be staying in touch with kind of all of our past clients as a whole, because there's too many of them to do the one-off stuff that we used to do. So the Friends with Benefits loyalty program is about helping them with things that are just a pain in your life and outsourcing that and helping them do that for them, but also inviting them to cool events that they might not go to with cool people.
Right. And I imagine, Toronto's, you're not. So, space like Manhattan or San Francisco is going to be limited. Do you? Here's what I'm getting at, and I'm bumbling through it. But if I'm in tech, I'm a graphic designer. I may not own a chop saw or a drill or some of this crap that most people use, but I may need it every now and again. Do you see that? Are you going to have like a whole list of tools where not only do I need I need somebody to go and fix my leaky faucet? I'm going to call Melanie. Hey, I need a drill. There's a guy in Russell Rhodes in Dallas that does this. He does 200 million. Yeah, and that's if you're throwing a party, you call Russell. He'll give you a portable thing to tap in a keg to. He'll give you a not an ice cream maker. What are those things what are those ice things?
A snow cone maker.
Snow cone maker. Yeah, you can get a drill, carpet cleaner, or a snow cone maker from Russell, and that's how he does. Literally, this guy does $200 million a year, and last year he spent $75K in marketing, almost nothing. It's ridiculous, this guy.
Love that idea, and it fits in very much with what we're trying to accomplish, which is again take out all of those pain points. And not just during the experience, but after when you own the house. I mean, these are young kids buying these 100-year-old houses that they're going to have a lot of issues with, and they may not even have lived away from home before. So things like changing furnace filters and cleaning gutters are not top of mind. And let's be honest, 5 years from now when they call me to sell that house, I'd like it to have been maintained. So that's part of the strategy in staying in touch with them. We've been doing it informally for the last few years, but now we're putting a formal process and a program in place just because it's too many people now.
It almost seems like, not that you'd want to do it, it almost seems like you could sell a subscription to it, right? Like, just pay a monthly $29.95 and hey, you have access to all this stuff. God, I mean, there's so much you could do with that, right? Like having masseuses, or I don't know. I don't want to get crazy. Let's stay. I'm excited about what you're doing. Now, earlier, Melanie.
Well, yeah, and even just spring. If you've got dogs, you know how horrible this is, especially in Canada where we have a lot of snow. When the snow melts, your yard is full of dog poo. What if we said, hey, we've hired someone to go to your houses and clean all the poo out of your yard? And what's that going to cost me? $1,000?
Right.
I could probably do 100 clients for $1,000. Easy. I could probably do 200 clients for that money.
Right. And I would.
And would I ever tell my friends about the agent who sent over someone to clean up the dog poo in the spring?
Are you kidding me?
That's the story I tell my friends.
Absolutely. That's the story I'd be telling my friends over a drink, for the next 3 or 4 months. Hey, you would not believe this. I didn't have to clean up all the dog crap.
And that's what always we're trying to do during the process, is look for those opportunities where you're doing something that's so unexpected that they will tell their friends. And that's how we're defining our success. And not from, are they going to tell their friends a referral? I want them to tell their friends a story about how amazing that experience was. And that's the goal in every client transaction, is to do something that's worth telling somebody about. And not in a way to get me a referral, but in a way that I'll be top of mind for both of those people later on.
Yeah, okay. So how did you – I want to ask you about a sentence you said earlier, right? I know that you want to take friction out of the process. You want to make it just like that designer, right, creating a website, there's UX, right, that user experience. So you're crafting a user experience for your clients, which I think is awesome. But you said a line earlier, a very Michael Gerber E-myth. You said, do what you love, outsource everything else. Is that a tenet you have in your business, or is that something that you try to infuse into the experience?
No, both.
Okay.
So it is how we treat and how we've designed the client experience, but it's also how we're going about recruiting our agents and what we're doing as a team to bring people on and get them to buy in and deliver the same experience we want to deliver to the clients. So we looked at the agent experience much like we looked at the buyer and seller experience. We said, what are all the painful parts about being an agent? Let's take those away. And let's get agents focused on what they're doing well, which is building, maintaining relationships, and selling houses. Mm-hmm. And let's take everything else away from them. Let's take away the admin. Let's take away putting up that lockbox, putting up those bloody open house signs, and all the crap that people don't want to do that takes their focus away from what they're really good at. So we've done the exact same thing with our agents as we did with our clients.
Well, so earlier, here's, you were talking about the typical online lead, right? And there's two pieces to that typical online lead, right? 6 to 18 months of gestation, one, and two, they're notoriously on the buyer side. And I know you're doing everything online. What buyers, sellers, what does that look like for you?
It's a 50-50 split. And I think that a lot of realtors use the excuse that they think it's only buyers that are searching online. It's not. I would say probably almost all of our listings this year have found us online.
Well, and I'll tell you this, here's the deal. And I can, there's something that I've been trying to crack for a while. And I think I don't know if you've done it, but here's the deal, especially with radio, right? So with radio, we're always going after listings. That's all we do. Now, the deal is we know that all sellers first enter the market as buyers, right? Because I know I'm going to sell my house, but I want to know, I have a general idea what it's worth, but I want to know what I can now go buy with the money that I have. And I think that if you're able to capture those people, those sellers, as they're entering the market as buyers, that is phenomenal. And maybe, do you think that's why you're able to have a 50-50 split off these online leads?
No, I mean, I think we certainly in the early years we're getting a lot of buyers, but then when we looked at our website, and it was like, oh, we've got, a great IDX tool for buyers. We've got lots of content and a first-time buyer guide and all the typical stuff. We don't have a lot of content for sellers, which then became let's start targeting sellers, because sellers have lots of worries and fears beyond how much can I get for my house. What the heck am I going to do with the cat in the litter box? Right? What am I going to do with the kids while the house is for sale? How long is my house going to take to sell?
Right.
What is the process like? They've got a million questions. And I think content that realtors have put out has traditionally focused on buyers, so it shouldn't be a surprise that they're getting buyer leads.
Right. Yep.
The minute we started adding a whole lot more seller content on there, it's a whole different story. I mean, how many people have written a first-time seller guide? I bet you we couldn't find one.
No,
Everyone's got a first-time buyer guide. No one has a first-time seller guide.
Right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. So in terms of being online, I'm on your site, right? I see Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube. What are you doing with video? I know you're doing a lot with just the blog. What are you doing with video?
Not nearly as much as we should be. We've done client video testimonials. We've just gone through another round of those that are being edited right now. We have done some cool listing videos for like really cool listings. Our properties usually sell too fast, in that you've got 6 days by the time your video is edited, the house is sold. And I'm not comfortable on video. And I always look at it, people who say, you blog that I can't write. To me, whether it's video, podcasting, or blogging, I think everybody is good at one of those three things and run with it. And I'm not comfortable on video. So
Melanie,
I don't do a lot of video, but I can write. So,
right.
Hey, I'm going to write.
And just help me understand that real quick, because listen, I can tell you're an attractive woman. You are you have the right disc profile. You're smart. I mean, you're super quick on your feet. What is it that you would not be comfortable on video?
I don't know. The minute there's a video camera in front of me, I freeze up. I love speaking. I do a ton of speaking in Toronto. And you can have a crowd of 5,000 people. That doesn't bother me. Boy, the minute there's a video camera there, I shut down.
Amazing.
And it's been on my list, and it's something I felt guilty about for years. And I finally said, you know what? It's not my thing. It's not my thing.
Right.
I'm going to do blogging 10 times better because video is not my thing. And that's the same advice I give people who tell me writing is not their thing.
Yeah.
Like, great. Then get in front of a camera or get behind a microphone and start a podcast. Everyone can do one of those three things.
And it goes back to that line you said, right? Do what you love, outsource everything else. So
yeah.
And you should start a podcast. We should talk about that for you.
It's on my list. That's actually on my serious list of things to do in the summer when the market slows down.
Well, part of it, we have Viral Cast. We do that for people. I'll send you the link.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, you're a writer. You love writing. It's SEO. And again, I mean, let's talk a little bit about SEO. I mean, is that something, do what you love, outsource the rest? Do you outsource some of your SEO stuff, or do you just put so much stinking content out that, you just get, Google love because you've written about everything?
When I started, I paid someone $600 a month to get on the first page of Google, and you can imagine I got zero results.
Right.
And realized about month 2 or 3 that was a complete waste. So I just started learning it myself, and I do keep up with it. I'm certainly not, the queen of SEO. I'm not particularly tech friendly. I'm not even really much of a writer. If you read any of my blogs, I mean, they're very much like I speak. I'm not a super writer, but people can relate to me, and I take a point of view, and I may say something that's controversial that will bring up, hundreds of people still commenting hundreds of times over on an article I wrote 3 years ago. But people appreciate that. So I don't think it's about being super talented in writing. If you have something interesting to say, and say it in a fun way.
Right. Well, I think it's everybody wants authenticity. People don't want, everything dry cleaned and printed and pressed. People want authenticity. I want you to have a point of view, and I want to know what you think. And, some people may go, oh, that Melanie is just terrible. And everybody else is like, I love her. And I think that's the problem with most people with marketing. We try to appeal to everybody. And when you try to appeal to everybody, you appeal to nobody because you have you're vanilla. You're not double fudge mocha chocolate.
Yeah, and I think my blog can be polarizing. I probably can be polarizing as a person, But that's okay. I don't want to work with a lot of people anyhow. Like, I'm never going to be the person who goes after the FSBO or the expired. Because they're never going to be people I want to work with. They're going to be complainers, and it's just too much. It's going to be too much work to convince them that what I do is of value. I would rather work with a person who appreciates and isn't sitting there discounting my commission and questioning everything I do. And I'm okay if the rest of that market isn't people that are going to fall on become clients of mine.
Yeah.
I don't want those people. I want the people who can appreciate what I do and actually. And you know what the funny thing is? It's not just because I get this a lot. I get a lot of pushback of, oh, it's all the young kids. It's not all the young kids. I mean, we regularly get hired by people in their 60s and once in their 70s who found us online. And they understand the importance of being online. Sometimes the kids have told them that. So it isn't just the first-time buyer looking for the $300,000 condo, which I think is really important to say. Those are not the only people online.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everybody's online.
Everybody's online.
So, as just talking with you, Melanie, right? I have a point of view. I can be polarizing. I'm hearing, and again, I don't want to work with the FSBOs. I'm not going to make a cold call. What I'm sensing, right? I mean, you're exuding this abundance mindset. And again, most agents have a scarcity mindset. Is this abundance mindset that you have, is this just your DI personality that you're just super optimistic about everything? Or like, is this something you've developed, or is this something you always had? Or, because I think this is a lot of key to your success.
I think this is just who I am. And I think in those first years of real estate, I didn't know who I was because I thought I had to be something else. And trying to be true to myself and coming home, I work a lot. I work 7 days a week. Right this time of year, I'm working 14, 16-hour days.
Yikes.
I need to love what I'm doing. And I need to feel good about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And for me, that's kind of the ultimate test of everything we do is, are we going to have fun doing this? And are we going to feel good about it? And if I'm going to hate myself, the paycheck isn't worth it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I just don't. You had to learn this. Maybe you're just that rare person who is just optimistic about everything, and this is just you, and you could take it, take it or leave it, for better or for worse, and you just happen to be landing on the right side of the tracks. Do you have a coach? Have you had a coach, Melanie?
Yeah, I have had a coach for the last year, Ken Goodfellow Coaching. So he focuses on teams, which is one of the areas that we needed a lot of help with because we have the marketing and the lead gen and kind of the service and experience stuff figured out. But it really wasn't until we started working with Ken that we really got everything together on the team front and really were able to build a culture that we wanted to be a part of and that our team is proud to be a part of. And that's been really exciting. That's been our big focus for the last 6 months.
Yeah, I have to believe you guys are culture first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we are an open culture, and we share our failures, and we share our successes, and we make memes about each other, and we just have fun. And it's a safe environment for people to come and be themselves in. And it's been so much fun watching the team grow. And we had a new agent who started a couple weeks ago. And, I think she had a license for a year and a half. And she'd done 3 deals in that time. And she sold something to one of our leads on the 7th day. And it was so exciting to watch the process unfold and kind of see exactly what we're doing and actually see it have that impact on someone's life.
So just, again, you have this very unique approach to business, a very unique approach to marketing. When I asked that question about your mindset, you said it's me. Did you learn how to market like this, or is this did you just say, hey, you know what? Look, I'm going to sell real estate and I'm going to do it my way?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, certainly some of my first clients, because I'd come from the ad industry, were ad people. And they would be like, you use this weight paper for your feature sheet. Yeah. And they were very open with their critiques. So that really forced me to figure stuff out very quickly. And then going to a lot of conferences. I mean, the one thing about the U.S. and the Canadian markets being different was, Canadian realtors have become lazy because you can't just put a house on the MLS and it'll sell.
Yep.
It's not going to sell for top dollar, but you can absolutely do that. And, 2010, 2011, going to the conferences in the U.S. and hanging out with realtors that were still in the business, then you knew they'd figured some cool stuff out, and learning everything we could from them was huge because no one was doing anything cool in Toronto at the time. I mean, we have 44,000 realtors in Toronto, and 105,000 homes get sold every year. So the math is not pretty when you're a realtor in Toronto.
Right.
That's like 4 transactions per agent per year.
Yeah,
so you need to do something different.
No, I agree, and I mean, America's like that as well. I mean, America is I mean, the average realtor not listening to this show does 2 or 3 deals a year, and So look, what is somebody like you? What do you know today, Melanie, that you wish you would have known when you started, right? All this knowledge that you have today, because I'm sure if you would be able to apply it, and back in 2008, you'd be doing 400 deals, 500 deals rather than your 200.
I mean, I think it goes back to being true to yourself and what you want, and really spending some time and figuring out how much of your life do you want to give to this, and not trying to be everything to everybody. And that beyond clients, I think that's even, you don't need to be on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and a million other places. Pick one thing and be really good at it.
Right.
You don't need a blog and a video and a podcast. Pick one.
Right.
So to me, if I knew back then, if I could have had more focus in the early years, I think that would have made a big difference. Getting a coach, I wish I had done that years earlier, and I wish I'd hired an assistant earlier than I did. I was probably a year too late on that as well. That's life changing.
Yeah, I think everybody should hire an assistant day one. How many years in or months in were you before you hired your first assistant?
Probably 3 years ago, so I was about 5 years in. Of which kind of on my third good. Yeah, but my first 2 years were not much. I mean, there was I think in 2010, like my husband and I sold 9 properties all year.
Okay.
Between us,
okay.
Right? So my first years were not spectacular until I got serious about it and then took everything online. So I think it's probably been 3 or 4 years that I've had an assistant, but that's life changing, and all these things that you spend time doing that you don't really need to be doing.
Yeah, no. So you are, again, I've said it like 4 times, and I'm gushing all over your marketing, skills here. But you're doing this much better than 99.9% of not only real estate agents, but people who consider themselves marketers. 2,000 people a day on your website. That's amazing. That is crazy volume for a realtor.
Yeah.
What do you see? What is real estate? How? I guess I want you to get into forecasting for you a little bit, right? Like, what's going to be the new thing next year, 2 years, 3 years from now?
On the technology front, or just in real estate?
No, yeah, technology. I mean, in terms of marketing real estate, and I don't care about the real estate market.
Yeah, because with the real estate market, who knows?
Yeah.
If I had that crystal ball, right? I mean, I don't know if there's going to be that much new stuff that's out there. I mean, I see people jumping on Periscope and jumping on this, as Gary Vee said it was the next big thing. And you know what? Like, I'm never first at doing something. I will know when it's happening, and I will sit back and watch it. I'd like to think that I'm going to be one of the first people to do it well and get results from doing it, but I'm never going to be first. And I think that's important when all these new things are coming out, is just not jumping on that bandwagon and getting, the next bright, shiny thing and getting distracted. I think it's going after something that is going to work because you've seen someone else do it and work, and figuring out how to actually get results from it, and just going 150% into making that happen. So for me, it's less about what's the new technology or the next brightest thing. It's like, how can we go super, super deep in one area and just get everything we possibly can out of that, whether that's a blog or a podcast or Facebook.
Okay. All right.
Like, I think that's my best advice, rather than getting distracted by, and I read all the books, and I love Scott Stratton, I love Gary Vee, and yet it's easy to get distracted. And in real estate, I mean, so many of us are in this industry because we've all got, natural tendency to be ADD and like to be in a million places at once. And that can be dangerous when you're working on your marketing strategy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Gary Vee's kind of off the Periscope thing, and he's now Snapchat's the new thing for him.
So I was thinking Snapchat when I said Periscope.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Thinking Snapchat.
That's okay. Okay. So we covered a ton about marketing. What didn't I ask you that I should have asked you, Melanie?
I guess the one other big kind of foundation to a lot of our success is our systems and our processes. So not just kind of the client experience and what they should expect at every part of it, but everything that happens in the back end is also very, very systemized. We use Podio as our CRM and our task manager and our project manager. And our whole business is run on that. And it's not for realtors. It's sort of a super customizable, well, I guess it's a CRM. But everything happens. So when we get a listing, it goes into Podio and 72 tasks get split up within 4 different people and everything just sort of happens. And that's the critical thing when you start doing that big volume. Is you need to have those really solid systems in place, and you need to have people trained and willing to use those systems to be able to make it happen so that you're not forgetting anything along the way.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. What exactly? We used to use Podio here, and we stopped using it. We didn't like it. What is it? And I think maybe it was the customizable piece that we didn't like. And we just, to be honest with you, we just ended up just going. Everybody kind of knew how to use Salesforce. We're like, just get on Salesforce. I didn't, what was it? Because I know people are going to ask. I'm going to get emails about Podio. So what was it for you guys that you liked Podio?
I mean, what I liked about Podio is that, and we've been top producer, we've looked in the Salesforce, we've run the gamut of all of those. For me, is I want to be able to track what I want to be able to track, and I don't have to worry about anything else, which is the problem with the top producers in the Salesforce. So they all want too much information. But more importantly, I want a system that people are going to actually use.
Right.
Because I can have the prettiest CRM in the world, but if my agents aren't putting in any information, it doesn't matter. And Podio has a nice interface on the phone, like on an iPhone or an iPad, and it's a decent experience. And for me, the biggest thing was, as people are going to accept it. I mean, I love Streak. I don't know if you know Streak.
Yep.
We tried it earlier this year. Beautiful, beautiful product. And you know what happened? A month in, everybody stopped using it. Because it didn't fit in with their regular workday. And so that's the thing that Podio has managed to fit into. Is everything revolves and we live and breathe around Podio.
So you guys,
it's not that it's the best CRM out there. We've customized it to be exactly what we need it to do.
So you guys use your CRM. Your CRM is baked into your processes, rather than
absolutely. So
okay.
that somebody comes in off the internet, that we put their information in, we meet with them, a buyer consultation form gets filled out. And that file in Podio stays with them for life. So we've just finished a 12th transaction with somebody. So, he's got 12 listings and sales attached to him. And with those, all the different tasks that go through it. And every person has a personal follow-up attached to it. So it isn't like a lead comes in and, a month later, a random email goes out to everybody. We don't do any of that. For us, it's all custom follow-ups. And that's a big part of our brand and a big part of, I think, why we get the closing rates that we do. It's not like they get added to a list. So we will say, okay, I'm going to follow up with that person in, 3 weeks from now, find a reason to do it. And we kind of have these monthly hustles, we call them, which are team days where we're doing all sorts of follow-up activities and updating Podio and staying on top of our past clients. And so it's all in there. Everything revolves around Podio. And that's why you have to use it, because you'd be dead without it.
Right.
We're generating, our average agents are probably getting between 5 and 10 leads each per week. And they're all carrying probably 15 to 20 active clients. It's not really a manageable amount unless you've got a system to remind you to follow up or send that person a wedding present or send that person a baby present 6 months from now. That system just does everything for you. And it's easy. It feels like you're commenting on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay.
That's important.
In terms of Melanie, you're doing this podcast. You do public speaking. You're putting listings online. You're writing these blog posts. You're managing your team. How does somebody like you manage your day? Because even for me, I'm looking at my day right now, and there's literally 22 things on it, and I'm. Like, it's 2:00 my time, and I've done like 2 of them. I've been busy all day, but how do you manage your time and not let it get away from you with all the different stuff you have to do?
Well, I get up early, so I'm usually up between kind of 5 and 5:30, so I can get a lot of my stuff done before anybody else wakes up, which is nice. So I get my writing done and all my follow-ups and all that sort of thing early in the morning. I don't work with buyers anymore just because I don't have the time. So that can free up some time because sellers are a faster transaction in our market right now. And honestly, I'd love to sit here and say that I, successfully time block and do all those things, but I'm not that good at that. I mean, I have my tasks. Again, everything comes straight out of Podio, whether it's related to a client, a listing, a closing, or a project. It's all in there. So Podio basically tells me what I'm going to do during the day. And I try to stay as focused as I can. I'm not perfect. I could certainly do more. I work far too many hours. But this is our busiest time of the year. So I'm okay with that. I love what I do.
Yeah, no, and here's kind of what I was getting at. Like, I'll tell you about how I do some stuff, and I think it'll prompt kind of what I was getting at from you. Like, so for me, I don't answer phone calls that are not on my calendar. If I get a random phone call, it's going to email. If it's on my calendar, then I'll pick up the phone. I used to respond to, and I try to respond to every email, but I really have cut down on the emails that I do respond to, because I found that, for every one email I get, it's about 3 emails deep before that string stops. I mean, do you have any kind of things like that you do during the day?
Well, I mean, so all incoming leads come through me. So I am the first point of contact for any incoming lead. So I try to get back to people. 15 minutes is my guideline, unless I'm with a client. I'm getting back to people within 15 minutes. So I need to be on top of my email because I know that person who is online, if I don't respond to them,
right,
I'm just going to go to another person's website and email them. So I can't really have those email rules for myself because a lot of my clients are coming in that way. We're getting a lot of clients in through text messaging as well. And through chat. We've got a great chat function on our website. And that's one thing I don't know why more realtors don't have, because everybody hates talking to realtors, right? Because you're going to get sold to. Chat function lets a buyer or a seller in the safety of their own home, and they don't even have to give you their name or email or contact info, have a conversation with you. And I get a ton of listings from that. And those are sellers, like, can you come let's sell my house tomorrow and list it tomorrow? Like, the chat is a beautiful thing because it takes away people's biggest objections, which is they don't want to talk to a real estate agent. They don't want to be sold to.
I was totally talking, had you on mute the whole time. Look, I 100% agree with that. Chat does work, and it's amazing. Here's the pushback. Some guy or girl who's out there doing 10 deals is going to listen to you right now, Melanie, and go, "Hey, chat works," and then you know what they're going to do? They're going to put all kinds of obstacles in front of them. Oh, well, how do I know that they're not going to, violate any rules and get me in trouble? How do I've had this conversation with these people, and I just go, you know what, dude, you're not that interested in growing your business. If you hear Melanie say it works, just implement it. Figure all that other stuff out later. Just go.
And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes realtors make is there's always a million excuses. That's not going to work in my market. That doesn't work with the demographic of people that I'm talking to.
Right.
I hear this all the time. And it's like, I used to give courses. I will go and speak in Toronto and tell everybody exactly what we do. And it has yet to be replicated. Even though, I can get into crazy specifics about how we do what we do. And nobody does it.
Right.
Because everyone's got a million excuses why it's too hard.
Or why they can't, too hard, they can't do it right. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not anything special. I'm a normal person. I couldn't print on my new Mac computer for 2 months. Like, I'm not some tech person. I shouldn't probably admit that to everybody, but it's true. I'm just a normal person, but I work really hard, and I'm very, very focused. And I go into everything with a plan of how I'm going to do it and what I'm going to get out of it. And if I don't get out of it by a certain amount of time what I want, then I'm going to exit it. And I'll just call that a failure, and off I go. And I'm okay with that.
No, that's awesome. That's
great.
But
I'm not just willy-nilly in a million different places.
We have to start wrapping up. But okay, there's a question I want to ask you that I'm not going to ask you.
Now I'm dying to know.
No, you know what it is? You know what it is? I'll ask it this way. Are you Gen Xer? Are you a millennial or what are you?
Oh, I'm 43.
Okay. All right. So I'm 46. We're the same age. See, how are you so tech, oriented? I mean, that's, again, I wish we had more time. I wish we had more time with you. Maybe we can do a follow-up with you or whatever. But we always ask for a book recommendation. And here's the setup. And I'm curious to know what you read and if you read. But I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
Can you buy 2 of them for $25? Let's assume they're on sale. I would buy Content Machine by Dan Norris.
Yep.
Love him. He's changed my entire blog and approach to content. I'd buy The Conversion Code by Chris Smith.
Oh, that's interesting.
Love that book. I bought one of those for everyone on my team, in fact. It's the first time I've ever done that. And I've known Chris. Chris has been a big part of my life since day one when I started getting into this. And I kind of thought I knew everything, and then I read that book. I was like, I learned a lot. And if you're trying to up your price point, which has been part of our focus in the last year, I love the book Selling to the New Elite.
Ooh, what is that one?
Selling to the New Elite. I got it on Amazon. I don't even remember the author's name. It was a really big part of me getting my head wrapped around the idea of providing service and what are people looking for and really helping define that demographic. Those are my top 3 books right now.
Okay, I love it. And everybody, if you wanna try to be like Mel, go get Content Machine by Dan Norris. You get a free copy on us. Just use our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive. Now, Melanie, I will tell you, I sometimes will tell people what I'm reading or what I have read. But for you, have you read the book Great Leads by Masterson and Ford?
No.
Get that, because I think that will help you. Great Leads by Masterson and Ford. That will help you with some of your ads. And another book, which is this one's on my desk all the time because I'm always writing copy. It's called Words That Sell by Bayan.
I have that. I haven't read it yet. I've downloaded it.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You need to have a physical copy because that's not. You actually don't read it. It's actually like a guide. Like if you want a strong risk minimizer, you go to that risk minimizer. Right. It's just you find words, so you don't. It's not something you actually read. So you probably need to get the physical copy.
Well, and I mean, to me, have you read Content Machine by Dan Norris?
No, I haven't. To be honest with you, I have not.
It's the same kind of thing where it's literally like it has its own Trello board in my world, with all of my takeaways and all of my rules for writing. And I've taken this book, and I've probably read it 4 times by now. And I've just pulled out all the stuff that when I need inspiration, I can go on that Trello board and read.
Is this something? Can I get it on Audible, or is it something I need to have a physical copy?
No, you can get it. Yeah, I got mine on Amazon, and then I bought a physical copy.
Okay.
Just because.
Okay. All right, I'll get it. I have Audible credits. I'll get it.
It's a really good way of connecting with your audience and looking at content, and it's very specific. Like if someone's looking to start a blog or a website, tons of good information in there on how to do that. It's really applicable.
How many blog posts do you write a week, a month, a day? Well, what is that? What does your release look like?
For the first 2 years, it was 3 to 4 a month, 3 to 4 a week.
Wow. Okay.
Now I shoot for 3 a week. The last month, this is our crazy time right now in Toronto, so I've been really bad the last month. Right now, I shoot for 3 per week. And what I've been doing, because I find it hard to get to focus when the business is going on around me, I've actually been taking some writing trips where I somehow have managed to convince my husband that if he sends me to Mexico to a resort, I'll write for a week. Which puts a lot of pressure on me to produce stuff. So I've been doing that and writing kind of 25, 30 pieces of content in a week, and then moving that out. And that's more the evergreen stuff, obviously not the tales and gossips of the previous month. But I've been doing that to get around the time issue. So I get to be in a
So here's what I find, Melanie, when I write, is I'm either kind of struggling and I'll stitch together 300 or 400, 500 words, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good, not great. And then I'll find something that's weird. It's weird. It literally, like the first line, it can just speak to me, and all of a sudden, and I have like 1,500 words, and again. And I feel like those are really great. Now, my problem with those, and those are typically like that. I don't write necessarily a blog post like you do because I do it long form audio, but I do. But these are my emails that I send out. How you're such a successful blogger in terms of word count? Is there sort of like a magic number where people will, 500 words, 800 words, they'll read it all, or 1,500 words, 1,200 words is too much? What's your thought on length?
It used to be that I would aim for 500 to 800 words because that's what Google was into kind of back 4 or 5 years ago. Google loves like 1,200 plus words right now. So I try to do long content if I've got that much to say about a topic. And I think in terms of, how much people are reading it, I think that goes a lot to how it's written, but also a lot of bullet forms, a lot of images, a lot of interest to keep them going. Like you don't want 1,200 words all in, 2 paragraphs. You've got to break that up, chunk it out.
Right.
And then people are more likely to read it. And again, if you come up with something that's interesting, then they're going to stick around.
Here's what I've done. So when I'm writing something, let's say on radio or podcasting or whatever, I used to write. It was sort of mechanically, right? I'd tell you about, hey, listen, if you want to do radio, here's the demographic, here's how to do it, right? You get a market, we look at rankers, here's the demo, blah, blah, blah. And it's very, very, very how-to. And for some people, they love that. And now I'm starting to tell, I'm trying to do that same thing, but tell a story. I'm trying to do more storytelling rather than teaching. Do you have any thoughts on those two kind of formats?
And I think you want to have a combination of both. I think there's, the stories are so powerful with people. I mean, that's what gets them to read, especially with telling a real story and it sounds like them. Something that's surprising, that people aren't expecting to read. Again, those opinion pieces. I mean, if I come out against the real estate industry, which I often do, those will get thousands of views.
That's a lot. Thousands.
It's a lot. And you can write something. So, I think it's a combination of stuff that you want. And actually that content code, or the content book I was talking about has sort of a whole list of different types of content you can write. So kind of the how-to content versus the top 10 list and kind of a whole bunch of different things. So I'll often go to those just to give me some structure and do something different.
Do you
like a Q&A, a case study.
Right. Those case studies were Q&As. So,
yeah, there's so many things.
I recently wrote, we for radio, we just put somebody on, I won't even say the market. We just onboarded a new person and I wrote her an ad. And and she was doing her own read, just so most of the time we get endorsements, but this particular market, the station, we had her do her own read. And it started off with this. If you're like me, you probably think real estate agents get paid too much money. So did I. That's why and then we start to tell a story, and then we get into our offer. Do you ever, when you say you go against the real estate industry, do you ever say something like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've got an article coming out on commissions actually probably next week, maybe this week, depending how I feel, which is going to talk about the fact that there are a lot of agents that are overpaid for what they're doing and what they're bringing to the table. And that annoys a lot of people, but it's the truth, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I'll talk about, how bad agent marketing is. I'm not going to use real people
how funny.
as examples. But, you don't need to. Everybody knows. Everyone's got a mailbox. They see what comes in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll even go against, the Real Estate Council here and kind of the education standards and why that hurts the consumer. I've written, blogs and, Dear Mr. House Seller, I had a buyer from your property tonight, but I couldn't get hold of your agent, which is, my blog about how difficult agents make it to get a hold of themselves with their secret cell phone numbers and their contact forms instead of email addresses on their website.
Right.
So I'll do that sort of thing when I'm just like, my rants are very popular, and they're true. So I think, people can relate and appreciate what's being said.
Well, I agree. I 100% agree. I'll tell you, for me, Melanie, I'm certainly going to get on your email list. I want to see what you talk about. I'm going to start following your blog. And I think everybody listening is going to do the same thing because people, to be honest with you, people are going to want to get on your list and replicate, People are going to try to rip you off. I'm sure there's so many people who try to rip off your content already.
It has been done, and the best part is they're not smart enough to not take out the internal links. So I've had it happen 3 times where people have copied my entire website. I'm like, why am I getting all of these like link backs from a company in Utah? And I go to their website and realize it's my website. Only they've taken out the word Toronto and put in the word their city. So it happens. I mean, it's about the dumbest thing somebody can do because, I mean, it's the fastest way to get blacklisted by Google.
Yeah.
To copy someone else's content. But, you know, I think there's nothing wrong with looking at what's working for somebody and emulating it.
Right.
I mean, that's what I've done. I haven't invented any of this.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, emulation is completely fine. Ripping people off, you know. I mean, look, people were doing that, you know, doing that online forever. I mean, you know, Pinterest started to take off, and there's these guys and we got to wrap up. We're 2 minutes over, but you know, there's these guys in Eastern Europe somewhere, and they're young kids. They've made hundreds of millions of dollars. But what they do is they find sites that are working and literally replicate them pixel by pixel and, you know, and launch them in, you know, Czechoslovakia. And it works, you know, because somebody else has figured out that it works in America. Anyhow, hey, listen, Melanie, I appreciate the time out for sure. It's been fun. You're a fantastically easy person to talk to. I always encourage people, if they've gotten anything out of this episode, to reach out and say thank you to you. So where can people find you, Melanie?
Best place and the fastest way to get a response is actually on Facebook by my personal profile. It's probably the fastest way and the way I connect with most agents. I'm on Twitter. I don't love Twitter. But,
how many followers do you have?
Facebook's definitely. Oh, I don't even know. A couple thousand?
Yeah, okay. I have like 7,000.
Yeah, I don't really even track those that much. I mean, for me, it's all about the results, right? If something brings me business, I think I've sold 2 houses because of Twitter.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you know, that's about what all it deserves, given I haven't put much effort into it.
Well, there you go. Again, it goes back to your line, your famous line. You need to have it posted on your wall somewhere. Do what you love, outsource the rest. That's a great line that everybody needs to digest. Well, look, Melanie, I'll be the first to kick off the thank you train. Thanks. I appreciate I'm glad for whoever you guessed out there listening who told me to get Melanie on the show. Thanks for it. And if any of you guys have anybody else that is as dynamic as Melanie, send me an email. Let me know. We'll go get them. So thank you, Melanie. I appreciate it, especially since you're so busy this time of the year.
Thanks so much for having me on the show.
All right. Go get them. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
This show is produced by me, Toby Salgado, with help from our research team and production done by Viralcast. If you're building a team and want to make sure you're doing it the most efficient way, reach out to Corcoran Coaching. They coach 83 of the nation's top producing teams. And for our listeners, they'll give you a free business evaluation. Send an email to bubba@corcorancoaching.com and let them know I told you guys to call.
Let's go!